Amazing performance by the Arsenal women, Henry.
I mean, it's extraordinary, and Rene Slagers deserves all the credit she's been getting. But it's interesting listening to her interview. She just deflects everything onto the players, and the players have just been fantastic. I mean, Alessia Russo, who you saw on Thursday evening collecting, well, you were
Women's
there.
Player of the Year, yes, in London at the Landmark Hotel on Thursday night. She made a point of going there to do that, and then straight on the plane, off she goes and stars as part of Arsenal's women's team. After the game, Chloe Kelly spoke to talkSPORT's Angelina Kelly.
I'm absolutely buzzing, and sometimes speaking up for what you believe in is right, and hopefully that will inspire many people to do so themselves. Football's a crazy game, but we're humans. It's unbelievable. This club deserves so much success, and 2007 we spoke to the girls that won it in 2007, and that inspired us to come here today and do the job again. So yeah, very grateful.
Yeah, Chloe Kelly there. Now, me and Henry pretend that we're well qualified to talk about this, but we're not really. Somebody who definitely is Faye White, former Arsenal and England women's defender, who joins us now. Faye, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Faye.
Faye.
Morning.
You were a Champions League winner with Arsenal in 2007. I was watching a few highlights they showed of that game yesterday. Compared to now, it feels like the women's game's moved on a heck of a lot. This felt like a much bigger occasion.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. Look at the stadium in Lisbon, packed out with two top quality sides. Back in 2007, we played in a two-legged final. Mm-hmm. First of all, went to Umea, who had won it a couple of times before. So we were the complete underdogs again in it for the first time. Just again, like this Arsenal team, there was only Marianne Caldente, who has featured in a final before, compared to Barcelona, who I read had 48 consecutive appearances in a final between their players. And then we got the 1-goal lead away with Alex Scott scoring the goal, and then brought it back to Boreham Wood. We had the opportunity to play it at the Emirates back then, but we decided a smaller stand or ground, and that pitch, the fact that we were used to playing at Boreham Wood as opposed to Arsenal at the Emirates, we would have thought maybe opened it up to the Umea and given them the lovely pitch and everything. So we tried to make it as hostile as possible, and we held out. And yeah, right, we were underdogs back then. I think we were underdogs this time. It was just unbelievable to see them actually achieve it.
I went to the Women's Cup final last weekend, and to be honest, Chelsea won it easily. Man United really didn't lay a glove on them, and Chelsea, of course, won the treble, and they were 12 points clear of Arsenal in the Women's Super League. And Barcelona hammered Chelsea, didn't they, in the semi-final? So how on earth did Arsenal pull this off?
Yeah, well, I saw the team on Tuesday. We were invited, some of us, to go. And I said, wouldn't it be incredible to be the only team to have won it in this country? The two times we get there, we go and win it. Just imagine what achievement that would be. And you have to believe it, don't you, as players, when you're going, no one else expected them to beat someone like Barcelona, who have gone for their third title. But yeah, it's just madness. But I said, you got to go and believe. You got to put the performance in. And I think all credit has to go to they were so calm as well. A lot of the players on that day, you could see they were taking it in their stride. They had 2 weeks build up. Rene was telling me, and it was, really detail of looking into how they were going to do it and stifle the Barcelona, not letting them get into, I think she obviously didn't divulge her plans to me, but just watching the game and how they really tried to limit their ball through the midfield in those, Bonmati and Pateas to get on the ball. They allowed almost, you could see our wide players, Kelly and Ford, almost encouraging them to go out wide, and to allow their fullbacks to have the ball. And they have quality players all over the place, but I think, you need on those occasions, that one-off match, it is possible. But like you said, they did dismantle Chelsea at ease in that semi-final. I watched it. But for us to go and hold them, they averaged something like 4 goals a game. But yeah, it just felt like it was written. Sometimes you get this feeling. When we got to half-time, I thought, they could do this. They're playing so well. And we had some good chances in that first half. But yeah, to to then, as the game went on, I think on the 60th minute, I thought they're pushing, and thought I just feel like it's going to happen. And then Blackstenius and Beth Mead come on and combine for that goal. It's just incredible. But you just needed every single player to be on their game. But for all to work just in that moment, and for everyone to play well, everyone to do their part, and to actually implement. You've got one thing I think I read that's after the final whistle, Rene did say there's one point of actually going through all the detail and telling the players, but for them to actually ingest it and then make it happen, it's a complete other thing, isn't it?
Faye, you mentioned Rene Slagers. I mean, at the start of the season, she was obviously assistant manager, and the European campaign didn't actually start off that strongly. She obviously took over the role. How difficult must it be stepping from a number 2 to a number 1, particularly in terms of the player's mindset? And how has she managed to achieve it?
Yeah, I mean, you would think you always have the assistant is the one that can interlink with the players and talk and feedback to the coach, and almost that good cop sometimes, especially to those ones that aren't playing. But to then have to step up and say, right now, I'm going to be in that top role. But I mean, having met her on Tuesday, I was chatting to her for about 5 minutes or so, and instantly I just thought, wow, she's so calm, she's so composed, she's so genuinely interested, it seemed, in even just some of the questions she was asking us about the previous time. And then I saw her talking to Vic over the lunch. She went and sat next to him for a good 20-30 minutes, chatting. And when I spoke to him after, when we were doing something else, he straight away, he just went, what a lovely lady, she's got something about her. And to make that impression on someone who's almost, it's his baby, and he can be a bit critical of people that he thinks, if they're not going to be able to do it. But he just straight away said that from that first impression of, talking with her. And I felt the same. So, but then to go and deliver it, I mean, you need to be really invested, I think, in the players, don't you, as a head coach nowadays? Especially in the women's game, I think they so much more. They want to know the reason why decisions and be involved in that process. But to manage that and to manage players that aren't in the squad or going to be in the starting 11, it's a hard thing. And she's done it brilliantly, and the players seem to speak so highly of her. But I can see why, just from having 5 minutes with her.
We started off talking about the sort of the attendances, the remarkable attendances, and we saw that the sort of the kick it gave to the women's game after the Lionesses won. What will this do to kids who are in love with Arsenal, young girls? Do you think there will be a fantastic boost and more girls will want to carry on playing or start playing?
Yeah, definitely. I was one of those young girls that was crying out for a role model to look up to, because I loved the game so much and loved playing it in a time where it was very hard to do that, to constantly being set back or told you couldn't do something. But so in an environment where now you can see your role models up on the telly achieving that kind of thing, or even being at the game. You look at Emirates, they're getting 30, 45, up to 60,000 for majority of the games this season. It's massive. And I think even in my time playing, Arsenal fans were always so appreciative of the women's game. Every time I was seen out around the stadium, everyone, oh, you're fantastic, you're doing us so proud. And again, that was at a time where not always our achievements were talked about or seen, but the Arsenal fans always did know. And the club have always supported the women's game and pushed it, kind of overtaken a little bit over the last 5, 6, 7 years, with City then coming on, more money and finance going in, and Chelsea. But then, I think the club have always done it the right way. This season, having 11 games at the Emirates. Next season, it looks like they're hoping to have every WSL game there. It's a big statement of intent, and they've always felt, I as a player always felt it was a one club mentality. Even back then, we've got to use the men's training ground. Lots of other women's teams weren't even able to do that. And now it is. I went there on Tuesday, I saw how it's grown and how the women are fully immersed in it. And it's the training ground. It's not the men's training ground. It's the Arsenal training ground. And but young girls now knowing that is possible and seeing that. And we saw the Euros, what a massive impact. And you think Leah, Beth, they were there. They experienced it, Chloe Kelly. And now Arsenal, I mean, it's just incredible to think. Chelsea have tried to do it. I think twice they've got to the final, haven't they? But they couldn't. And look at the investment and money and the squad that they have and the depth. But for Arsenal to go and do it the second time of ever getting there and take it away the trophy both times. I mean, that's what I said I went around each table and said, just imagine what achievement that is to say 2 times in the final, 2-time winners. But they went and did it. I'm like, hats off to them. It's unbelievable.
Faye White, former Arsenal and England women's defender. Sounds like you're going to enjoy the celebrations when they bring that trophy back. Thank you, Faye.
Definitely.
And I gather, Henry,
Thanks,
I think you're right. They are going to do something around the Emirates.
Yeah, outside the Emirates. Tomorrow? Yeah.
And that's also Chloe Kelly. I was just thinking that Faye mentioned Chloe Kelly there. She scores the winner in the Women's European Championships.
Yeah.
She gets... Basically, she's surplus to requirements at Man City, goes off to join Arsenal, and now she's a Champions League winner. Absolutely amazing.
And as Faye, talking very eloquently there, the fact that the role models of this generation, whether it's Leah Williamson, whether it's Beth Mead, whether it's Alessia Russo, I mean, and Chloe as well. And Chloe spoke about the mental health issues, and there are just so many role models, and we were sort of debating role models on Instagram and whatever. When you look at these Arsenal players, the Chelsea players, the Manchester City players, the Manchester United players, the Lionesses, absolutely fabulous role models.